welcome to the DR Sports Transfer Show, where we're going to be covering the latest news, rumours and everything else from the football world. Is your club going to get an Ornstein bomb? How many here we goes are we going to hear from Fabrizio Romano this January? Make sure to stay tuned every weekday for all the latest football news here on DR Sports. Yes, everybody, welcome back to the DR Transfer Show. We've got plenty to bring you today. We've got Spurs are targeting a new striker after Mohamed Kudus' injury, which might affect Newcastle as well. We've got the latest on Manchester United's transfers, manager hunt, West Ham news about Liverpool, Chiesa, and all of that. But first, I want to get cracking with the latest breaking news that Oliver Glasner, Crystal Palace manager, has spoken directly about Marc Guéhi's links to Manchester City. So we all know what happened in the summer. Guéhi, Liverpool, he signed, it didn't go through, the medical happened, the here we go happened, Ornstein dropped his bomb, and Guéhi stays at Crystal Palace after Oliver Glasner intervened. But in January, yesterday, on Tuesday, he changed his tune big time. So in his press conference yesterday, ahead of Crystal Palace's next game, he admitted that Guéhi could leave for Man City this month, which is big news. So what happened and what he said was that Crystal Palace want Marc Guehi to sign a new contract and stay. Obviously, he's their club captain, but he has just 6 months left on his deal. And Glasner admitted directly that there will become a point where the financial considerations will outweigh their sporting ones. So if Guehi wants to leave and a big offer arrives, potentially from Manchester City, he name-dropped Manchester City, by the way, Palace would be open to selling him this month. So you all know what's going on at Man City. They've got several injuries. Diaz is out for 6 weeks. Gvardiol's got a leg injury. Man City need their defenders, but the reports from Ben Jacobs say that they don't want to go over the £35 million agreed with Liverpool in the summer. Whereas Crystal Palace, I'm sure, will be saying to lose their main man, their captain, their main guy in January, they will add tax onto that transfer fee. But it's definitely one to watch. And the fact that Oliver Glasner is mentioning it in press conferences and name-dropping Man City certainly gives this transfer a lot of credence. But in other news, staying in London, Spurs. Apparently, according to the Telegraph, Tottenham are looking at about signing a forward in January this month after the Ghana international, Kudus, suffered an injury that is worse than they initially thought. So Kudus is obviously their big new signing of the summer alongside Xavi Simons. Kudus is a player that was meant to electrify Tottenham, but he suffered an injury. And so what the Chronicle Live are now reporting is that Newcastle are going to have to deal with Tottenham with competition if they go back for Wolves striker Strand Larsen in January. So Jurgen Strand Larsen was on loan at Wolves last summer, scored 14 goals in the Premier League, but this season hasn't hit the ground running at all. Wolves have only just secured their first win, a 3-0 win over West Ham, which has put Nuno Espirito Santo, especially after the loss to Forest on Tuesday night. Espirito Santo is definitely in trouble. But so Spurs are potentially looking at signing Strand Larsen and competing with Newcastle for him in January if Newcastle is to go back in for the Norwegian striker. So definitely keep an eye out on that one, by the way, because that's multiple different outlets and multiple sources reporting that Spurs want a new attacker in January and that Strand Larsen could be the guy that they look towards. Meanwhile, up in the north, Manchester United's managerial interim hunt continues. So the latest news is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Michail Carrack are now locked in a two-way fight to become the interim head coach towards the end of the season. This is according to the Daily Mail's Chris Wheeler, who is their chief Manchester United Northern football correspondent. He says that both Solskjaer and Carrack have spoken to CEO Omar Barada and Director of Football Jason Wilcox on Tuesday, but the club will not make a final decision until they have met both managers in person. United are reportedly giving Carrack serious consideration in what has now become a two-horse race. They spoke to Darren Fletcher. Obviously, Darren Fletcher still has an outside chance because he's taking charge of the team against Burnley, but they spoke to Ruud van Nistelrooy as well. Wayne Rooney wasn't considered, but it seems to be a two-horse race between Carrack and Solskjaer, and there is the potential that it could be both. But in terms of transfers for Manchester United, Roma director Maressa has said the situation over any move for Joshua Zirkzee this month has changed following Amorim's sacking at Old Trafford because Amorim's lack of playing Zirkzee consistently and their potentially strenuous relationship was a big reason for Zirkzee wanting to leave, but a new manager and new ideas means he's likely to stay. Also, Kobbie Mainoo and his Napoli's interest in him is also waning after Ruben Amorim was sacked, as the player now wants to stay at the club and continue for the rest of the season. So Mainoo is due to come back to training. He's trained yesterday for the first time on Tuesday in about 3-4 weeks after his calf injury, and he's going to be assessed today on Wednesday ahead of the game against Burnley to see if he is able to be in the squad. And Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes are both set to join him as well in the squad, possibly to face Burnley, with Darren Fletcher taking charge. And United are yet to confirm if Darren Fletcher will also be in charge for the Brighton game on Sunday in the FA Cup. But all of that will come in due course. But an announcement on the next interim manager for United until the end of the season is due to come in the coming days and the coming hours once they have spoken to the players in person. Now, moving over to Liverpool, slightly west of Manchester, there is continuing news on Federico Chiesa's situation. So apparently, Juventus's hopes of signing Chiesa from Liverpool depend on whether Mo Salah stays at Anfield or not, according to Gazzetta dello Sport in Italy. Now, this, I think, is quite obvious because Mo Salah reportedly will not be leaving after he at least somewhat patched talks with Liverpool and with Slot before he left to AFCON. Obviously, he played in the game against Brighton at Anfield before he left. He got an assist as well, which was big, and Liverpool have been building momentum. So if Salah comes back, the mood will be nicer, but there could be a situation here where Chiesa might choose to go if Salah stays. But according to Sky Sports News, Napoli, who are also keen on Chiesa, have also, been thinking about signing the Italian player on loan, but Liverpool have not had any formal approaches for the forward and are unlikely to allow him to leave in January. Now, obviously, that could change because if Liverpool do find another attacker they'd rather get in, and obviously we all know that Slot isn't massively keen on Chiesa, as, he's barely played in this season. I think he's played one game in the Premier League, started one game in the Premier League, 20 appearances in all competitions, but just off the bench. It's definitely a situation to keep an eye on, though, because Chiesa could choose to push to leave because the odds of Liverpool winning a trophy this season may be a lot less than what we thought it would be in the summer when they were signing Isak, when they were signing Wirtz, when they were getting their new fullbacks in, when they looked like they were going to sign Guehi. So Chiesa may leave because he may feel there's not much worth for him at Liverpool staying. But on the continent, obviously, moving over to Germany from France, is that Bayern Munich have offered French defender Dayot Upamecano, who has been linked with a whole host of Premier League clubs in the last 12 months, a new deal. His contract runs out this summer, which would make him a very, very, very appealing centre-back. Obviously, French international, Bayern Munich starting defender. That would be a very, very appealing move for any club looking to shore up their defence, but they've offered him a new contract and prefer a decision sooner rather than later, while the 27-year-old appears more relaxed about his current situation. And then back in England, Michail Antonio, obviously he's not played since his car accident in December 2024, and he's seen a proposal with Leicester City fall through after picking up a fresh muscle injury. The 35-year-old, who was featured internationally for Jamaica, has not played a club game since his car crash in December 2024, but had been in talks over a short-term contract. So that could be another option, maybe for West Ham. Because obviously West Ham have signed their new strikers, but it still looks like they need fresh reinforcements and firepower up front. There is plenty of news obviously coming through all the time in the Premier League and around Europe, and we are here on DR Sports every day to bring you all of the latest. Apart from that, I will see you tomorrow.